I gotta give credit to CNN and Van Jones for calling it out. It's refreshing. Seriously, Van Jones blasts Hillary Clinton, saying she's playing a very dangerous game going after Tulsi Gabbard. Thank you. Not only that, CNN's Aaron Burnett, bravo, much respect, incredible, coming out and calling it a conspiracy theory straight up. Seriously, thank you to Van Jones and CNN. And I'm surprised I'd say that. I'm very critical of CNN, especially with these Veritas leaks. But at least they can give us this. And I always want to make sure we stress this, okay? Tell your friends. If someone does the right thing, give them the respect they deserve for doing it. Encourage people to be better. CNN nailed it. Aaron Burnett opened a segment tonight looking at Hillary Clinton, quote, pushing her own Russia conspiracy theory. Thank you. About Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. Now, this is a follow-up to the video I did early in the morning, and there's a lot of fallout over this. For one, I don't want to say the name, but there's a particularly controversial figure now trending nationwide thanks to Hillary Clinton, and it's not the kind of thing we need to be focusing on. Okay, you want to push Russia conspiracy nonsense? I will tell you something very simply as to why so many people on the right, moderates, and independents are sitting here looking at Tulsi and cheering. Because we are sick of the Russian bot nonsense conspiracy. Sick of it, okay? I am a moderate leftist. Actually, I gotta be honest. You go look at my political compass test I did yesterday on this channel, and I lay out every single response to the questions, and it puts me as a social libertarian. I'm far left on the political, I don't know how you describe it, but at least that's where they put me. Then my only thing is I'm rather anti-authoritarian, very, very much so. And so that puts me in an awkward position where it's hard to demand with a pitchfork someone have all their income taxed. And so I'm much more of a hippie, right? Hippie libertarian type, sit on a farm with my buddies, with flowers, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, here's the point. When something bad happens in the establishment, Hillary Clinton, for example, stealing the nomination from Bernie Sanders, I got angry. I spoke up. I said, how dare you? And they pointed the finger at me and said, Russia. Wait, what? They pointed the finger at Jill Stein, Russia. Did you know in 2016 at the RNC, there was almost no protest of Trump, but the DNC had major protests with 1,000 plus people trying to jump the barricades and break in? No protests at the RNC. Why? Because Trump, for all of his character defects, for all of the things I think he's done that are egregiously stupid, namely, you're never going to convince me to defend choosing Trump Doral for the G7. Just never going to happen. And they say he's doing it at cost. No way, no dice. You're never going to get me to defend sending troops to Saudi Arabia. And I'm not going to play that game. I rag on him all the time. But I'll tell you this. There is a bit of sympathy and understanding between people in my position who like Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang, for instance, being smeared as alt-right or Russians. And Van Jones lays it out, and I just gotta stress, CNN calling it a conspiracy theory. Thank you for saying it. Thank you for saying it, seriously. Van Jones with an amazing quote. Check this out. He said, if you're concerned about disinformation, that is what just happened. Just throw out some information, disinformation, smear somebody. She is Hillary Clinton. She's a legend. She's going to be in the history books. She's a former nominee for our party, and she just came out against a sitting U.S. Congresswoman, a decorated war veteran, and somebody who's running for the nomination of our party with a complete smear and no facts. Van Jones, respect. Stand up, drop the mic, clap, everything about what you just said. Full respect. Tulsi is a decorated war veteran. She deserves our respect, I'm not gonna say our smears. I would never. I disagree with Dan Crenshaw. I'd love to see a conversation between Crenshaw and Gabbard. They disagree, but I have tremendous respect, and I respect their opinions. I disagree with Buttigieg and Crenshaw on the war issue, and I agree with Tulsi, but I gotta admit, I defer to the three of them, okay? But I think Tulsi, who has access to a lot of the sensitive information, being on the committees she's on, I trust and respect her. And I gotta tell you what, guys, my policy positions lean left, but you take a look at what's going on in the Democratic Party and its authoritarianism. It's this embodies everything that has made me so sick and tired of the left. And they say my politics aren't liberal. No, I tell you what, you are lying, okay? And we know you're lying. You stole the nomination from Bernie Sanders. For whatever reason, Bernie went on the debate stage and said ridiculous identitarian nonsense. And I've soured on Bernie quite a bit. But Tulsi, she's still close to, and her character and her personality are exactly what I think we need in this country. And here's the big difference. You know, us, little people, the people not in the club, we disagree with each other. And boy, do sometimes do the sour words fly. The diehard Trump supporters do not like Tulsi. They'll cheer for her, nuking Hillary from orbit, but they will slam her political, her policies and her positions, and they'll post memes and they'll mock her. And I'm totally okay with that. I'm totally fine with that. I absolutely have no problem with people commenting and poking fun at me for my political positions. And I think that's actually what I like about it. That why is it that we're able to honestly discuss what we think and feel? That I was able to sit down with Glenn Beck and we disagreed, and boy, howdy. And we shook our hands at the end and we were like, hey, he's a good guy. Yeah, we disagree. That's normal for adults. Check this out. He went on to say more. Just incredible, Van Jones, incredible. He said, Tulsi Gabbard, I believe this was Van Jones. They're saying, so here's the quote. Tulsi Gabbard was picked out by the Democratic Party and put at the top of the DNC. They thought she was going to be their golden girl. Jones continued. And she got that position in the DNC, and she looked around and saw Debbie Wasserman Schultz and other people, Clinton allies, doing stuff they shouldn't have been doing in the primary, and Tulsi publicly quit and endorsed Bernie Sanders, and it's been payback hell ever since. You nailed it, Van. You nailed it. That's exactly it. There is an emotional satisfaction in seeing Tulsi slam them. There is an emotional satisfaction in finally CNN calling out the conspiracy trash. Okay, the Trump supporters went through it, and the Tulsi supporters are going through it now. So we get it. We get it. I want to have a real conversation about policy proposals, about why I think Trump should not be reelected, but I respect the opinions of those who do. I have friends who I'm like, I have no idea how you could think that. And what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to hate each other? No. I just can't stand everything going on right now in politics because the establishment media types, the identitarian whacknuts, want us to be enemies. They want us to hate. Ellen DeGeneres sitting down with George W. Bush, saying that they were friends. And it wasn't the moderates, conservatives, or disaffected liberals who were outraged. I laughed and I'm what else is new? I said Ellen doesn't have to pretend to be friends with the guy because the reality was she just happened to have been sitting next to him. But we can be polite. We don't have to hate each other. And not only that, no, I'll stop. You can't hate me and I can hate you, but we agree to be like, that hate shouldn't go beyond just bad feelings, right? When you show up and scream in someone's face, when you attack people, you've crossed the line. There are so many people in this country that I think are just wrong and distasteful, and I will express my opinion about it. And there are many Trump supporters who I think are willing to cover up for bad things Trump does and provide excuses for him. I get it. But that's politics. In the end, if I can sit down with you and we can argue that, we're winning. Right? I recently did a conversation with Sam Cedar. We disagree on a lot. I probably agree more with him on a lot of issues than I do with Trump supporters on most things. But admittedly, I'm a rather moderate, independent type, leaning somewhat to the left. So my politics, I have some positions I agree with conservatives on. Like, look, man, I don't understand. We got to a point where free speech, anti-authoritarianism is becoming a right-wing position. That's insane to me. But let's read a little bit more. Van Jones remarked, it's getting kind of hot, before reiterating, I'm telling you, Hillary Clinton is playing a very dangerous game. I do not want someone of her stature to legitimate these attacks against anybody. If you've got real evidence, come forward with it. But if you're just going to smear people casually on podcasts, you are playing right into the Russians' hands. Van now pointing the finger at Hillary. Yeah, dude. Check out this op-ed from the New York Times. Why are Democrats jilting GOP voters who want to like them? Dude, full stop, New York Times. Why are they jilting me? I voted for Obama. I want an alternative. I want a pro-choice anti-death penalty candidate. Okay? That's what I want. You won't give it to me. There's a lot of things that Tulsi pushes I don't agree with. And I admit, a lot of my positions, same as most people, become rather emotional. The character of the individual and how they inspire us and make us feel is a substantial factor in whether or not someone would vote for somebody. I'll admit that it is a bit immature and ignorant, but I'm not going to act like I'm better than anybody else. When I see Tulsi Gabbard calling it like it is, challenging the system that was cheating all of us, the 12 to 18% who were former Bernie supporters who went to Trump, that's the DNC's fault. It makes me angry. And I look at Tulsi, and she's somebody who's willing to sit down and say, I'm here for you too. And that's what a president should be. I don't agree with all of her policies. I agree with a lot of the core ones that I think are particularly important. War on drugs, literal wars, ending private prison, or prison reform in general. Those are huge issues for me. And I've gone through a lot of her policy stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I disagree with some of that. You know, she pushed a bill about reparations. I think that's damaging, and a lot of her fans were upset by it. But in the end, you know, I admit, for me, I'm a moderately learned individual, right? I read all the time. And so I look at the policies, I look at her character, all of these things come together, and she's not perfect. But I will say this, for me, she is what I look for in a candidate in more ways than basically anybody else. And in the end, all that really matters is I'm willing to respect your opinion for disagreeing, be it you're in favor of Elizabeth Warren. Absolutely. Let's talk about it. I think Warren's proposed some great things, actually. I think her challenging of big tech is particularly important. And that's about one of the only things I can really cite from her in the first place, although she has called herself a capitalist, which I'm fine with. I'm happy with. Bernie, a socialist, not okay with. But I look at Tulsi and I'm like, hey, that's what I like, or that's what I want to see. And the New York Times, they point this out, that there are people like me. And it's not about the GOP, right? They're pointing out that there are literal Republicans who are like, I would like to not vote for Trump. And the Democrats are like, no. But then not only that, there are people like me who we call ourselves politically homeless. We used to be leftists, and now we're just independent, right? It's how? And they won't even accept us. So when I come up and I say, I would like to vote for this, they say, you're a Russian bot. Okay, then. Okay. They say under President Trump, a small slice of America's electorate seeks a reason to call the Democratic Party home for the very first time. But you know what? It's not even just about the Republicans who want to do that. There are moderates who want to do that, and there are former Obama voters, Bernie Sanders supporters. I gotta admit, the core reasons why I do not like Bernie Sanders are not so much about his policy positions. It's about his ideological push for the identitarian stuff, as well as giving up the stage. And you know, Bernie has played too much into the establishment hands, and I don't like it. It's weakness. Okay. Personally, I think universal health care is our end goal. Politically, I think we got to start with a public option. Moderate. I don't think you show up at someone's house and strip them of their health care and dramatically upend their life. So I fall in the more moderate camp on the left side. And if you look at my political compass, you're going to be like, damn, Tim's far left. I can't say damn. I said it again. You can't say that word. Did you know that? YouTube, you get in trouble for saying that. They say the exemption is Rep. Tulsi Gabbard, the candidate making the most visible effort to help moderates and newbies feel included. Like a majority of Americans, but unlike a majority of House Democrats, before the Ukraine revelations, she did not support an impeachment inquiry against President Trump. It would be terribly divisive. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. I'm saying, like, I want to win. I want to bring us together. I want to sit down with those I disagree with and have a chicken dinner and some rice, and we can debate and argue. Okay, even if you have ridiculous views. And of course, they smear me for it. Guilt by association. Why? Because I interviewed the alt-right one time. Seriously. Because I'm willing to be like, can we talk to someone and change their views? Guess what? Literally what Tulsi did when she met with Assad, and they call her a supporter. Oh, please, dude. And that's another reason why I really do respect and identify with Tulsi. Her willingness to meet with Assad and say, can we end this war? Donald Trump, his willingness to meet with Kim Jong-un, cross the DMZ. His willingness to have these conversations that are risky, and they hate him for it. They hate him for it. My disagreements with Trump are not about his efforts to end conflict and war. No, it's more about him increasing that, with like the Saudi Arabia stuff, which is new. But yeah, the Syria stuff, Yemen, you get it, right? We don't need to go through this a million times. But I look at Tulsi as somebody who she brings it up. That's why I was dismayed when she flipped for impeachment. Like, look, man, I get it. 52% of people support impeachment now, according to aggregate polls. Fox News did a questionable poll because they oversampled Democrats, whatever. The point is, the aggregate shows 52%. I don't care what the majority is, okay? I don't care if 99% said we're doing X. If I disagree, I disagree. I will stand on my own 2 feet. And in this, I believe impeachment is a dangerous game, and it is bad across the board for this country. Well, Tulsi said that. I will give her credit for then calling out Democrats for using impeachment to fundraise, and also saying that while she is supporting the inquiry, she was still critical of how they keep pushing, the hyper-partisan nature of focusing on impeachment. In the end, though, I think Tulsi supported it because she had to, because all of the Democrats do, 90 whatever percent. And so that's my opinion. So look, I'll be the first to admit nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. I can be emotional. And so when I look to a candidate like Tulsi, a lot of what I like about her and support is her charismatic behavior, the logic behind her decisions, as well as, yes, many of her core positions. Not all of them. But it really comes down to, how does someone make you feel? There are certain candidates who have said things like Elizabeth Warren. She talks about big tech. I wouldn't support her. You know why? I don't trust her. I don't trust her as a person. And so there is a challenge in how we're supposed to, figure out the right person to support. And the same is true for Trump and his supporters. A lot of Trump supporters, they listen to what Trump is saying, and they take him, the saying was they take him seriously, but not literally. So when Trump says something bombastic, they get it, man. He's a showman. He exaggerates. I understand that. And that's why that's probably one of the reasons I don't have TDS, why I don't screech and scream and claw at the walls. You're not going to get me to ever defend, especially putting the G7 at derail. And I can maybe talk about something later on. The point is, here's what I want to do, okay? Here's what I want to do. I think it's very similar to what Tulsi wants to do. I want to make sure we can sit down and have those Trump supporters understand us and we can understand them. I want to create a future where we know we disagree, but we respect each other. And I think I did that with Glenn Beck. When we sat down, we agreed on a bunch of stuff. We disagreed on core issues that divide the left and the right. And I hope so, but I believe there was mutual respect there. I think he was articulate, calm, and principled. And in the end, I think we have different ethical frameworks that exist philosophically in our minds. When we realize that's the case, the only way we can move forward is to respect those we disagree with and figure out how to move forward. The Democrats today aren't doing that. And even the New York Times has this story. They're jilting GOP voters who want to like them. Dude, it's not just that. They're jilting technically current Democrats. So that's why I'm so enraged by how they smear Tulsi. Because it's like, dude, she is keeping me here with you, right? Democrats, listen. It is Tulsi and Yang who have been very intelligent, reasonable, and compassionate. And they're the reasons I have not just declared myself outright completely independent of anybody. I still consider myself leaning Democrat. But they want to sever those ties. They want to smear Tulsi. So look at it this way. It's like Tulsi's hanging onto the cliff by one arm, and in her other arm, she is holding us disaffected liberals and even some conservatives, and they're stomping on her fingers. And once she goes, there are many of us who go with her. Now, admittedly, Yang's there too, and he's got more like a robotic gizmo that's like trying to catch us as well. Yang's great. Admittedly, I think Yang did better in the debates than Tulsi did, but I still respect them a lot. In the end, what we need in a president is someone who's going to say, I will be your president, trust me, and let me hear what you have to say. Obama did that. Not for everybody. A lot of people really don't like Obama. But people who voted for Obama voted for Trump. That's literally the only way Trump would have won, is if he converted former Obama supporters into Trump supporters. And he did. And they haven't learned. They haven't learned their lesson. So anyway, that's why, I'll wrap it up. That's why CNN, thank you for calling it a conspiracy theory. Van Jones, you nailed it. Absolutely spot on. You have shown exactly how I feel, and I respect that tremendously. I feel like the media doesn't represent the things I'm seeing. And this conversation they had, it does. It does. It feels honest. So CNN, ripe for criticism, a lot of problems in media, but I can respect it when they do it right. I'll leave it there. The next segment coming up at 4 p.m. on the main channel is about the media. Yeah, bad news. Seriously. This may be the end of a major left-wing publication. Stick around. I will see you at 4 p.m. youtube.com/timcast.